This is the new Vivo V40, the company's latest premium mid-range smartphone that packs quite a punch with the new Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 and also ZEISS optics for the cameras. So, is this phone good? Let's take a look at what it has to offer today. Now, looking at the design, the Vivo V40 is a good-looking phone. The unit that we have here is in the nebula purple color and it has sparkles all over the back. It also has a matte finish and it just feels absolutely great to touch and hold. It has a slightly rounded corner and both the front and back pieces of the phone also curves into the frame. It is actually just very nice to hold in my hands, even though it does feel kinda sharp when you try to grip it as hard as possible. The camera bump is quite an easily recognizable one. It occupies a lot of real estate, but I'm glad that Vivo didn't just put a giant circular design at the center of the phone. However, the camera sensors are only housed at the circle at the top here. This extension is mostly just for aesthetics. The flash is placed within this extended piece here, and that black circle, well, I have no idea what it does actually. There is a sensor inside there, but I'm not sure if the camera will show up. I personally cannot recognize what this sensor is for, so if you have any ideas, then do leave it down in the comment section below. I tried to dig through the review guide and the product page, but there are just no details about this tiny little sensor at all. Now, the Vivo V40 only has two actual cameras to take pictures, and all of the photo samples here are taken with the vivid color profile because that's the default setting. The main camera does take good pictures overall, the details are great, but the exposure seems to be a little bit too high for my own liking. But otherwise, the picture looks good. For this kind of scenario with varying lights, the dynamic range is controlled very well too. Dimly lit shots like this one also look great, and for night shots, I took two different types of night shots. One with just the basic photo mode and another with night mode turned on. From what we can see here, it seems like the white balance did change a little and the building got a bit brighter too. The super bright signboards are always equalized with the entire scene, and that's actually good to see. As for the ultra-wide angle camera, yeah, the details aren't exactly great since it's not as sharp, even though it does have an autofocusing ultra-wide angle camera lens. The colors look okay, but the exposure, yeah, it is also a bit too bright here. And now let's talk about the three different color modes that are available for you to choose from. As mentioned earlier, all of the pictures we have shown are taken with the vivid color profile. Once we have changed it to the texture color mode, yeah, this one really just cranks up the contrast value to as high as possible without it looking like ass. But either way, I don't really like this. Then comes the ZEISS natural color mode. This is very similar to the vivid color profile, but there are some differences that lie within the color processing in certain parts of the picture, particularly the sky. It just looks more natural on the ZEISS natural color mode, but it also looks a bit more bland in comparison. In this scene though, the building at the back also has some different colors, but again, it looks very bland. I think the reason why the ZEISS natural color profile exists is because you can take those pictures, put it into Snapseed or something like that, and then edit it however you want. For videography, this phone can take up to only 4K 30fps, and the stabilization is also not that good. It uses a combination of OIS with EIS like many other high-end smartphones, but it is just not done that well. It has a lot of warping effect, and anyone who watches this video for a long time will feel dizzy and potentially puke, so do be careful. The Vivo V40 does come with a massive 6.78-inch OLED screen with a slightly higher than usual resolution of 2800 by 1260 pixels, and it also goes up to 120Hz refresh rate. The color accuracy and brightness of this screen are pretty typical for a phone like this. It can reach somewhere around 1000 nits of maximum brightness, and it covers 98.85% of sRGB and 93.31% of DCI-P3 color gamuts. But that is only with the standard color profile. There are two more color profiles in the settings menu, namely Pro and Bright color profiles. The Pro mode is quite bad as it only covers 90% of sRGB and 64% of DCI-P3 color gamuts. The bright mode is going to push the display to cover 100% of sRGB and 99.96% of DCI-P3 color gamuts, but the delta E number is also nearly double of the standard color profile. My recommendation is to stick with the standard color profile if everything looks fine to your eyes, and go for the bright color profile if you want a more vivid looking screen. Either one works, it just depends on your personal preference. What I don't like though is the under-display fingerprint scanner. It is placed way too low and it's just not fun or ergonomic to use at all. Now the performance. It's using the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3, which isn't found on that many phones in the market right now. While we don't have a gaming test video for this phone because our schedule was super packed, it can run Genshin Impact at the medium graphical setting preset and we can get like around 30-ish FPS. It's not too bad by any means, but do keep note that this is in version 4.8. The game will get a graphical improvement in version 5.0 and many older chipsets will get downgraded graphics too. I suspect that for version 5.0, this phone won't be getting 30-ish FPS in the medium graphical settings anymore. The Vivo V40 is running Funtouch OS 14 on top of Android 14, and while the overall software experience is decent, there are a lot of things that just annoy the heck out of me. If I accidentally scroll left on the lock screen, then I am pestered by all of these pop-ups, asking me to agree to whatever this lock screen poster thing is, and I absolutely hate this. And let's not forget about the amount of ads on this phone. You see, this list, when I finish setting up the phone, it will just start downloading all of these trash games via the Google Play Store. That's how I end up with another page of trash apps on my home screen, and I have to manually remove one by one. Secondly, if you don't change the swipe down gesture, then you will be bombarded by all of the ads found in the global search feature. Please head into the settings and change the swipe down feature to your notifications, because that doesn't have any ads, or at least not what I'm showing here, because you will get ads via the notifications as well, which also annoys the heck out of me. What's worse is that the V App Store cannot be disabled, and you will have to be careful with these things when you launch apps for the first time. By the way, since the V App Store cannot be removed, the hot games and hot apps can only be dismissed, so at least you can save yourself from accidentally pressing on either of those apps for launching the V App Store. I mean, whatever smoothness and good design that the Funtouch OS have instantly vaporizes thanks to these horrendous bloatwares and ads that not only eat up storage but also negatively impacts the user experience. As for the battery life though, this phone does come with a slightly bigger 5500 mAh battery with an unknown watt-hour value, and we can get somewhere around 20 hours in our standardized battery life test, and that is just amazing. I think this is the longest lasting phone that we have tested so far. The Vivo V40 also comes with a proprietary 80-watt charger in the box, and it can charge the phone from 15% to completion in around 48 minutes. I think we need to expand a little bit more when we talk about the charging speed of the Vivo V40. So if we head into the settings menu, inside the battery setting, it's hidden quite deep inside. You will find this option here, which is disabled by default. So when you enable this, you should be getting the fastest charging speed possible. Our usual tool to log all of the battery percentages across the time is not working well with this mode enabled. It just kills the app, and then when the app boots up again, we only get like from whatever percentage I plugged in the phone, and then straight away it jumped to 100%. So we don't have any data in between the charging process. And that is quite a common tactic. They just kill all of the background apps to give you as fast of a charging speed as possible. We've seen this on many other smartphone brands as well. But I have this tool here to actually go in between the charger and the phone, so I can log all of the wattages and whatnot. And from here we can see that the charging takes somewhere near an hour. So if we just scroll through the entire Excel sheet here, you have to see this column L, and then this is the power. It's all in watts. So when the wattage turns to somewhere 0, this is when the charging ends. So it's at about 54 minutes and 19 seconds. And the reason why I say 19 is because I started to plug it in at the 10th second when I started the logging process. And if we use the function of max the entire power column, we can see that even when we enable the fastest charging option, this phone will only take in a maximum of around 66 watts. And if we plug in the Vivo V40 into a USB PD PPS charger, it can actually take in up to 33 watts. And from here we can see that the charging speed, if we're gonna plug it into the USB PD charger, it's actually faster than plugging in into the 80 watts charger with the fast charging option disabled. So this phone is a little bit weird when it comes to charging speed. And a few more things to mention about this phone. This phone does have a USB 2.0 port at the bottom, and it also does not support display via USB Type-C, which is to be expected. It also does not have an audio jack, no microSD card slot, but it does have double SIM card slots. What's interesting though is the certification for both IP68 and 69 on this phone. Not sure why they have two different certifications, but there you go. IP69 means that you can actually shoot some jets of water on this phone and it will still survive from all of that. Now comes the question of, should you buy the Vivo V40? The price here in Malaysia for this phone starts from 1,999 ringgit, and I think that's quite an okay price for what it has to offer. The hardware and software are fine, but the mixture of intrusive ads interlaced in with so many parts of the UI really knocks the whole user experience down a few notches. But yeah, if you can tolerate all of those ads, then this is actually quite a good phone overall. And that's all that we have to share with you here in today's video. The Vivo V40. Are you gonna get one for yourself? What do you like and dislike about this phone? Do let me know down in the comment section below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.